Hi everyone, it's Amir Nooriala, one of the co-CEOs at CEO Information Security and the host of the In Conversation series. We are currently in the Varonis office in London because we've got an incredible episode for you. We are filming with the founder and CEO, Yaki Faitelson. For those of you who don't know Varonis, it was a business founded in 2005 by Yaki and his co-founder Ohad. They IPO'd it 9 years later on NASDAQ, and he is still running our business 11 years later. So a 20-year founder, CEO of a publicly listed NASDAQ business, having an in conversation with CEO. I think you're going to love this episode. Yaki, I'm going to apologize to you. We start every episode by doing a brief introduction about the person. So I'm going to talk a little bit about you for the viewers. So apologies, it's never nice to hear, it's always uncomfortable to hear people talking about you. So just for the viewers who don't know Yaki, Yaki founded a company 20 years ago in 2005 with his business partner Ohad, a long-term colleague of his. After 9 years, they IPO'd Varonis in February of 2014. And 11 years later, he's still running the company very much as a hands-on active CEO of a NASDAQ listed company. And for those of you who don't quite understand what that means is this is a very, very special episode. You do not get an opportunity very often to interview a CEO of a publicly listed company. So I want to thank both Yaki as well as the comms team for the permission to do this. And it's actually a brilliant time as well, was the momentum that Varonis is seeing in the market. And we'll talk about that as the conversation starts. So Yaki, welcome and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. So normally I then do an introduction about the company, but I think we're actually going to talk a lot about in the questions. So I'm just going to jump in the questions if that's okay with you.
Please.
Okay. So why don't we start off at the beginning? So it was 2005. For me personally, I just moved back from San Francisco to London. I joined Accenture. I just moved in with my girlfriend, now wife. You did something way more adventurous. You started this company. What was the problem you were trying to solve by building Varonis at that time? And has that problem changed over the last 20 years?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. Actually, the problem was evident for me 2 years before.
Okay.
I worked at the time at NetApp, and I did a big project for a big energy company, a multinational in Africa. And someone deleted a lot of critical files. I came there to do something completely different, and they asked me, can you tell us who deleted the files? And I said, no. They're looking at me and said, can you help us figure out who can access the data?
Right.
So this was extremely valuable data and relatively a lot of data. So I'm writing just a quick script, trying to put, the ACLs to nested groups in Excel spreadsheet. Excel is breaking. Going and doing it in a Access database. Nice. It's also breaking. Then going to MS SQL, indexing everything. We are for like few hours after we had the visibility. It was clear that 90% of the identities that can access the data shouldn't access the data.
Yeah. Okay.
Try to do remediation. It's very complicated. And they came to me and said, if we will hire you guys, can you tell us where we have critical data, and then do least privileges, make sure that only the right people can access the right data.
Yeah.
I'm looking and then I'm telling them, give me 2 years and 20 people, I can't do it. And in the flight back to flight back home, I'm just running some scripts, looking at statistics on file systems, inodes and stuff like that. And I just look at the explosion of data, how data is going, but also how access control is going. And access control, at the end of the day, it's almost like a business configuration. Who should access the data and how broken it is. And I dealt many years with security and system, like the whole stack. And a lot was obviously on the network and stuff on the endpoint and IDS and IPS. But everybody tried to do something in order to make sure that they are protecting data. And I looked at it and I said, this is something that it makes sense to dedicate my life, because as an entrepreneur, you don't know when you will be right. But I just said data is so critical and the problem is so big that eventually we'll be right.
Yeah.
So this is where we started. Interestingly enough, at the beginning, infrastructure people understood it very well, less security folks.
Yeah.
But with time, it was more and more evident that it's critical everywhere, and it's critical on file systems and on stuff like 365 and on databases. So if you look at growth phenomena, nothing ever grew like data and being so critical. So it just was clear for us that this is a problem that you need to solve, and you need what we call a deep tech, because when you decide to build something, you wanted to make sure that it has a moat, that it's defendable. And thankfully, my co-founder was just a brilliant programmer, which is a genius, and also the core team that started the company was extremely unique people. Like each and every one was like an army of one man, and they were able to do a lot of interesting stuff on data structures, on machine learning. Believe it or not, 20 years ago when machine learning started, we built very deep domain expertise, and in systems internals. At the time, you didn't have a lot of API connectivity, so just the ability to take the metadata was a big undertaking. And 2004, we started try to raise money. It was hard. At the time, no one wanted to touch enterprise software with a stick. But eventually, we got it, and we started the journey.
Yeah, I mean, it was the end of the dot-com crash. The crash was 2000, 2001. So it was the market still hadn't quite recovered.
It was the feeling that just enterprise software is very hard. It's hard. And don't forget that at the time also, people built startups without money. Like startup was something that
it was very
you need people that can carry a lot of load, like small team that can do something that is very special. And you also felt all the time that you took enormous amount of risk.
Absolutely.
Because you live the comfort. Today, startups take $500 million, $1 billion, so much money. At the time when it was just, you need to make sure that you have the eye of the tiger, and you can do things that are very, very hard in order to be able to get from A to B. So it was interesting.
That's great. And that's a classic founder story, right? In terms of you identified a real problem that you were being asked to solve, and you thought there are other people who must have this problem. And 20 years later, you've been proven right. Everyone has that problem. And unfortunately, everyone's still making the same mistakes. They're giving access to the wrong people, and they're not removing those privileges when they leave. And the admin roles and everything else are just sitting there forever. So you absolutely identified the right thing. So I guess on a side note then, you've been doing this for 20 years. And even from the first answer, I think everyone watching this can see you are hands-on, you are very energetic, you're all over this. I know your schedule this week, you're meeting clients the whole time, you're out there and about. That's incredibly motivating. That 20 years later, you're still this passionate. What's your secret? Like, how do you keep doing this?
So first, maybe I don't know how to do anything else, so I'm sticking to what I know. But the reality is that throughout Varonis, I worked in several companies. And I was extremely lucky that I just partnered with amazing people, and amazing people joined us. But the reality was that when we started, most of the data was on-prem. And we started to have this massive amount of data. And it was very interesting. And you needed to build this audit trail that was hard, and integrating with identity. So we saw a lot of value for the product. And what was very interesting in terms of the tech is that you had these big NetApps and big Isilons, big data repositories. And in terms of total cost of ownership, no one wanted to give you a lot of hardware to support these data stores and metadata stores. So you needed to build technology. And this is something that served us and went with us to world-class architecture in the cloud. You needed to build something that is extremely efficient. Someone gives you this, a VMware box and will tell you, I'm buying for $100K perpetual. I will not give you more than whatever, $10,000 for software and hardware and everything else. So we need to be extremely efficient. As time goes, and at the beginning it was an audit trail, visibility for permissions, and this is where we started to do a lot of machine learning. We build robots, if you will, that give you recommendation how permission needs to work. And then what happened? Ransomware attacks started, and we started to build. We became the world-class security company, and we really build. Forgive me for the bold statements. The best, maybe the only user behavior analytics that works out of the box, that you can understand any abnormal behavior on the identity side towards the data. Any abnormal behavior, we catch it. So think about it. It was almost like the banking system. There is a ledger, is the touch of every file. You consolidate it, and you see any abnormal behavior, like you see with your credit card, and we stopped it. It worked extremely well. Then you started to see just a lot of data stores, a lot of storages on-prem, and then obviously 365 and Salesforce, everything started to work. And so we built this from a lot of this data security to abnormal behavior, a lot of Active Directory, Entra ID, 365. And around 2017, David Bass, our CTO, which I always say that I was the founder of the company twice. Once at the beginning with Ohad, and the second one with David. We look at a problem, and this is what we saw. One, we saw that in every big breach, and we'll talk about it because this phenomena accelerated in a tremendous way. In every big breach, there is always the same situation. The organization has a modern security stack.
Always.
An EDR, a SIEM, a firewall, all the VPNs, today cloud security, and a breach from hell. Why? One, many times these are insiders. You have somebody that is rogue. And in a second, I want to touch with your permissions about the dynamics, how breaches are happening today. And the second thing that happens is a lot of the time it's compromised identity. And compromised identity are becoming you. And if the attacker is sophisticated, the blast radius is so big, you can access so much data that he's completely transparent to the overall security stack. So we look at it and we said, we need to build a complete robotic value proposition. One, we need to take the efficiency to the cloud, to build in the cloud a world-class architecture that can scale out, and you have the right data sets for this abnormal behavior. We need to be able to take every touch of every file, every configuration, AKL, metadata, and all the behavior, and build something that is extremely scalable, that we can put everything on it, and then we can do a lot of AI. This was before LLMs, but we did this machine learning, and we knew how to build these data sets, and we knew that we have an extremely valuable data sets for data security. And then we build this world-class architecture in the right way to make sure that we have this, we're using a lot, the right data structure, and the way that the company now these days using Databricks and all the cloud technologies, and primarily something in also cloud that is extremely secure to provide automated outcomes for the customers. So long story short, I always worked in a different company. I was able to tackle the problem, and you have more data stores and more volume, and we take streams from VPNs and firewalls. And what I saw is that when organizations are using us, when we build this cloud architecture, 99% they will never have a data breach. Not only that, with everything we're doing on the identity side, they will not get to the data. If they get to the data, we see abnormal behavior and we stop it, and then we can do forensics. And this was extremely energizing. So your ability to say, if people will have the platform that I'm part of, most probably they will be protected. And these days, they will be able to use AI in a secure way, is extremely energizing. So for me, it was like my entrepreneurial drive with the people that I love, with the customer that I appreciate and love so much, was extremely energizing. So it was a bit long-winded, but this whole journey was very interesting.
It's good, but you've like answered like 3 different things I was going to ask. So I'm going to break them down bit by bit just to kind of dive into them. So one thing you touched upon, which I think is fascinating, and I think is really important, everyone watching is aware of this as well. So you mentioned, I think about halfway through that answer, you changed this company from like a perpetual license model, the traditional model that technology companies had, to a SaaS, a subscription model.
In the middle, we went to subscription, then we went to SaaS.
Then you went to SaaS, right? And you did this as a publicly listed company, right? Which is, most publicly listed companies don't do that level of innovation, that level of change. You did that. So can you talk us through that change? That's a big move to make for a company.
When you wake up in the morning, there are 2 things that you need to care about. One, are you adding value to customers in the way that they can consume it? So, and for us, it was automation. Really 3 things, to be accurate, was automation. Automation in find, fix, and alert. I'm sure we'll talk about it later. The second thing is to make sure we have coverage. We can cover everywhere you have critical data. Is that we can cover, was very important. And convenience, that it will be very easy just give us the money and we will give you the protection, for a lack of a better term. Once you do that, you don't care about the stock price. You know that you are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is just to make sure that you're allocating the resources, and first and foremost, the resources work for innovation. I knew that it's inevitable. And then with AI just put a massive spotlight on the problem.
Yeah.
So it was it was very easy in terms of once this is your North Star, and this is how you focus to do the right thing.
Okay. And so what version of Varonis would you say we are on now? Are we on version 3 then? Or
no, so the way, obviously, so it started with self-hosted on-prem perpetual. Then we build a lot of coverage and a lot of things related to identity, security, the IR and everything. So customers couldn't consume it in perpetual. We moved to subscription. And then we build the spaceship, if you will. We build one of the best distributed system in terms of our architecture to make sure that we can build these incredible AI robots to protect the customers in the cloud. And this is the version we are in.
Wow.
And as you know, in the last 2 years, we released more products than the 12 years before. It was pretty amazing.
Amazing. Okay. So why don't we jump then to March of this year? You bought, and I'm going to try and pronounce it correctly, Cyril. Because I read it and I think Cyril, but Cyril. Cyril's in the DAM space. So for those who don't know what DAM is the database activity monitoring. So in terms of kind of traditional legacy players, someone like, I guess Imperva is a traditional player in that space. So you've bought this startup. You've kind of spoken about how the activity started off, just, I don't know, let's say an Excel spreadsheet and an Access database. And you basically what you're doing applies everywhere. How does Cyril fit into that? What part is it going to add to what you have already?
So in general, databases host the most critical information in the world. And when we look at this market, we saw customers need it primarily because of regulation, but there are a lot of stuff that are lacking. And we have a lot of database support. We did classification and misconfiguration and admin configuration. And all of our customers came and told us, Yaki, get into the queries themselves. Make sure that you understand what happened in the database to classify it, which we are doing with tremendous AI, user behavior analytics, and also the way that attacks are happening today. The bad actors are moving from one data repository to the other, going to the file shares, encrypting them with whatever, a ransomware, then can read the file shares and find credentials, elevating privileges, going to 365, S3, and then to databases. And it makes sense from one framework of classification, one framework of compliance, one framework of security that we will support it. Cyril, they build a tremendous proxy that is agentless, that you can take events in a seamless way from databases. So, and the other thing we have done, when we build this very unique cloud architecture, we wanted to make sure that we can integrate technologies easily into it, and it will be one cohesive platform that will help our customers. So we bought it, and I believe and know that we are going to have the most comprehensive database activity monitor solution, and a lot of stuff that we're lacking on security, UBA, connectivity to the identity, classification, very easy scale out. This is something that...
So all of that you've built for the unstructured, you're now going to apply it onto the structured side.
But for years and years, to be fair, we are in unstructured. We're looking at the databases, and we look at semi-structured, and we are at Exchange and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm talking about the underlying, not the way that it's, not if it will look like a file. But yes, we are going to build something that is very new, that is extremely scalable. And the other thing, the way that we learn in Varonis, it's very interesting when you constantly learn from what you have done, make yourself better. This is what we are doing with the incumbents of database activity monitoring. We learn where all the problems are, and we just apply what is working very well into this. And I'm very bullish on it.
Makes perfect sense. Okay. Another thing that we're still diving into that same first answer you gave. Another thing you mentioned is AI. But you were talking about the benefit of AI in your Varonis platform. What is the, I guess two things. One, what is the the risk that all the usage of AI within enterprises is causing around data security? And are you seeing AI being used by cyber criminals to attack your platform? So you said AI benefit. Let's talk about risk. And
but to attack our platform less, obviously our platform is very secure, but I see the attacks within the customer on the customer data. And this is what I saw. It was very evident. And the first time you see, like, Microsoft Copilot is a phenomenal product. It's, it was the first one, and obviously Agentforce from Salesforce. Like, this is, the LLM is revolution. The train left the station. I think we all agree. And it's
completely.
It is tremendous. Like, the productivity gain are second to none, but the security risks are also second to none. And the first time we saw that organizations starting to use Copilot, what happened is that today, if you have excessive access control, you will not use it because you don't know that it's there. Copilot, it's like a Pac-Man from hell that by design is using everything it can get. And don't forget, they want to do it for every platform in the world. So when we started to see it, so in the first query, you get to data that you don't need to get. And then people starting to do, I would not call them malicious, but queries that they don't need to do. So if you look at the prompt, and they get a lot of critical data, you summarize a lot of critical data, and you create information at a staggering pace out of policy. So it's an accident waiting to happen. And then you see attackers, or they take the tools with your identity and they use it, or they give you a PDF and you're trying to summarize something. And at the end of the PDF, it has a command that tells the Copilot to do something you shouldn't do. This is a big problem. The other thing that you see is that with all this AI in the hands of bad actors, it's a huge issue. So you have AI in the hands of bad actors, they can adapt and create malware super fast way. So much of the code today, if you will think about it, is code used by AI, and you have samples and you have direction, and this is very, very risky. So you have a lot of collaboration, and you have agents. Before, if you were one human user or one identity, today you get, and you have these note takers and things that summarize stuff for you, and emails, and it's crazy. So what happened with it is that data security is front and center. And if you will not be ahead of it, making sure the right people can access the right data, understand abnormal behavior, understand what happened in the prompts, that we have the best solution for that, most probably something very bad will happen to you. Now, AI in Varonis, we are doing three things. We're using AI extensively in Varonis. One, we have a very unique data set for user behavior analytics. We see for these thousands of organizations how people are using the identity store, the data itself. We see attacks, and it's tremendous because you can use the AI is as good as your data set. And if you're looking at making sure that your user will use information in the right way, we have the best data set in the world, hands down. This is one thing. And we are doing a lot of machine learning. The other thing that we are doing, we are using LLM and a lot of AI to classify data automatically. So we have highly accurate, scalable classification. And what I mean by scalable is that we really able to go and classify everything. Because what you will learn, if you have an application that can write to everywhere in the blob, you need to classify everything. And this is usually a big challenge. So it's scalable and it's highly accurate. So you classify automatically, you label automatically. This is tremendous. And the third thing that we are doing is we have what we call a thin AI, that you as a user of the platform can use the platform without any learning curve. You can talk to the platform in regular human language and get all the benefit. And this is huge for our customers. The other thing is, we have our managed data detection and response. We built the best analyst in the world. It started with the self-hosted with incident response, because we saw that when an organization has an attack, it's always the same. Call a company, they give you a big bill and telling you, this is patient 0, restore your Active Directory, we can't tell you what happened to the data. And this is crazy. And sometimes also, organizations are stretched very thin. So you are coming to organization, the platform is, lightning like a Christmas tree, and no one looked at it. And we just said, automation. We will make sure that you don't need to do anything. The best people in the world, we look at your data from the identity, VPN, data stores, everything, and any abnormal behavior, and it works extremely well. We take billion events to sometimes one alert, and we close it automatically. We will make sure that you are constantly protected. But okay, we have thousands of customers, and then what we really use agentic AI to make sure that we're building these robots, we train these robots, and they're extremely accurate, that they are augmenting our incident response, our MDDR people, to make sure that when you are buying Varonis and you buy MDDR, the best analysts in the world, together with the best robots in the world, are making sure that you are protected. What happened with AI is it's robots against robots. Humans cannot manage it anymore. It's completely robots against robots, and organization needs to realize it very fast.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things you said that I want to draw out. One, in terms of MDDR, I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. If I think about the evolution of, let's say, EDR to MDR, you put this new next-gen antivirus on every end-user device. Then they can look, you can do XDR and look at all the alerts you're going to get. And then suddenly you're like, wow, there's so many alerts, I don't know what to do. I can't handle it. I'm not staffed for this. Can someone manage for it? You get MDR. I think we're seeing this with Varonis. You build a platform that's brilliant and exposes everything. It also exposes you're not necessarily staffed to handle it. So have someone actually automate it with AI, manage it for you, makes and do that in the platform.
When David and I started to build the cloud, we said it must be all about outcomes. Because findings became findings fatigue. And today, I see so many amazing CISOs.
Findings fatigue, I like that. Absolutely.
But they stuffed very thin, and they need outcomes. They need to decide what is the right technology, and to bring the technology that has a force multiplier and solving the right problems. And the truth is that if something bad happened, and forgive my language, if it hits the fan, most probably someone came and tells you that there is a data breach. You want to make sure that you avoid the data breach, and it's all about automation. Make sure that you don't have data breach, you don't have compliance fines, and you don't have effort, and you, Mr. CISO, can prove to your board that you are doing a good job, because this clear evidence is very important, and it's all about outcomes. The fact, today I look at let's say other, endpoint that don't see an attack many times, or some DSPM vendors that give you some classification without any outcomes. It's just liability. I know that I have critical data, but I can't do anything. And if you can't remediate the blast radius, understand abnormal behavior, do forensics, the only thing you have done for yourself is increase the liability without any outcomes. Now the problem is 10 times bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And another takeaway from that answer you gave me in terms of AI, you said a phrase, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like the productivity gains are huge, but the risk introduced is huge. I think that's something that unfortunately happens a lot with any new technology. Though with AI, the sponsorship seems to be at the CEO level, and the CEOs are all going, what's your AI strategy? What's your AI strategy? And they're forcing IT directors and CISOs to implement these tools before the security is ready for it. So I think you've hit the nail on the head. You can't slow down the deployment of the technology. So get ahead of it and have your data protected, because the AI is going to just expose everything it can get its hands on, right?
Exactly. So with your permission, I also can talk about, a CEO of a company with around 2,700 employees, all over the world. If you are not going to adapt AI, you're going to stay behind. This is, you need to do it. Like there is no other way. Anybody else will resist it. But always there is this built-in tension between productivity and security is very hard, very, very hard to manage. And I also think that it's hard for humans now to extrapolate the amount of risk that they introduced with the use of these products. And if you will not be ahead of it, it can end up, you can lose your organization. And the other thing that you will see is that bad actors use AI tools to be extremely, extremely sophisticated. You just need to be ahead of it. And you need to understand what you want to protect. You want to protect your people, and you want to protect information. So if you want to protect your information, there is no way to do it without a data-first approach.
Yeah, completely agree. I'm going to pull out the last point that you made in your first answer to me. You said you built a world-class product. Now, at Sapio, we're a full-service cyber advisory. But what we do is we only work with vendors that we believe are, if I use Gartner, top right quadrant, or Forrester, far right wave, right? The leaders. We're not catalog. We don't say, you know, buy everything. We just say, what's your problem? Here's what we believe is the right solution for it, okay? We said at the start, your company's been running for 20 years. And I've written this down because I was doing my research, right? In the last Forrester report, you are in a far right wave, and you're the only vendor I've seen of all the different sectors I've gone through that's got a double circle. The double circle means Forrester think you're the best platform, and customers think you're the best platform. And then if I look at the Gartner report, and I think there was one yesterday as well from customers, but the analyst report, you are also top right quadrant and the number one platform in this space. I don't understand how this is possible 20 years after you founded the company, because that's not the normal trajectory of we keep our R&D, we keep innovating, we keep being this. Normally at some point you're going to sweat the asset and, you know, just make money off the customer base you have. You're not doing that. You're still... How? Why? What's going on?
I think that, but for David and I,
they
just innovation, and customer value, and to be ahead of it. This is what we like to do. And we also understand the problem very well.
Okay.
I think we, if you will, created this market, and we just been ahead of the curve, and we also understand what is the big data set and how you solve a problem completely. And I talked about the world-class product, but primarily the world-class architecture, how you build this architecture to provide this robotic value proposition.
Yeah.
And this is our mission. You know, I'm here in my professional capacity, if you will, to make sure that the world information is protected. I'm here to make sure that organizations don't have data breach.
Yeah.
They don't have compliance fines. They can use AI in a very secure way.
Yeah.
And they can do it with almost an effortless way, and they can always demonstrate that they can do a good job. And this is a hard undertaking, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling. And the other thing we have done, it's very interesting. If this is your mindset and you're becoming, you know, we are also a company that thankfully generating a lot of cash, and you're just taking these resources and you constantly innovate, it works extremely well. And this is what we are trying to do. And it's very interesting. Like for us, when we look at it, there is so much ahead of us than behind us. And we just build the infrastructure to fulfill this potential. Yeah. And we are sitting today, and if you will think about data security and AI, everybody knows it. It's a top priority. Yeah. So we waited for a long time for it, and we are going to make sure we are going to fulfill the potential. We are not going to give an inch. So
you have the long-term thinking, vision in it, and it's paid off.
Yeah.
Another thing you've hinted at in some of the questions and answers we've been doing is you speak to CEOs, you speak to CISOs. The first time we met, Jason Green, your GM for this region, kindly invited me to dinner. It was a Monday night.
Yeah.
And I think you had like 12 or 13 different CISOs at this dinner with you. And my understanding was all week you had similar dinners. And then, you know, you're here this week in London. You're going to be meeting the CISOs all of that. Yeah. You're meeting a lot of CISOs.
Yes.
What is keeping CISOs up at night? Like, why can't CISOs right now sleep? What's their biggest concern they have?
I think that they want to make sure that their enterprises are secure. There is something that is very weird in cybersecurity today. Mm-hmm. The budgets are growing. People are spending a fortune. They need very sophisticated stuff to support this technological stack, if you will. But they still have breaches from hell. So I think that they understand that they need to protect data. They understand that they need to protect their cloud, and they want to make sure that they can do it in the most efficient way. And they also want to, as we said before, manage this balancing act between productivity and security, which with AI, it's becoming much harder because the organization needs to work. Almost every organization is data-driven, and they want to make the most of the data. They want to be ahead of competition. Yeah. And the CISO is in the middle of all of it. Many times, relatively to the problem, with a very lean team. And we are here to make sure that we support them together with our partners and make sure that they are secure and they can do it on budget. They can do it in an effortless way, and they can do it very fast and in a convenient way.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's a bit of a side note, but I mean this in the nicest possible way. I think CISO is a really, really difficult job, and I don't know why people would want to do it, because no one celebrates and goes, well done, you stopped something, like, oh, you did your job. But the minute there's one breach, one thing that gets through, and it might be because you didn't have enough budget, and they didn't, you couldn't get that approval from the board or whatever to release the money needed. You knew what the weakness was. You get the blame, and someone else comes in, gets the budget, and replaces that. You can't, like a goalkeeper, you can't win the game, but you can lose the game. So I just side note for me.
You're right, but you're right. But when you see them, it's like most of them are tremendous individuals.
Oh, they do it for
They are very curious. It's very interesting. And there is something that you have in yourself just to be the guard, and you understand how it works. By the way, and many times, as you said, the C-suite don't understand what are the implications of a massive breach.
Correct.
You can see the same organization a week before, they're not sure what they want to do, and then a week after, when a breach happens, and it's just like, like an accident with a train.
Exactly.
And the same CISO that is asking for the budget and asking for fast deployment and don't getting the resources, and it's there. But then you see them heroes, and making sure that everything will work very well and it will not happen before. And I'm rooting for them and doing everything in my power to make sure they will be successful.
And I think you're right, they're heroes. So all of you who are watching, huge respect for the work that you do. Slightly different question for you here. In cybersecurity, there's a mantra that the biggest risk a lot of times is humans. And that's why we have concepts like human risk management. Is that something that is applicable in the domain of data security as well?
The reality is that still insiders are the biggest risk of all.
Yeah.
And also many times you see these big breaches, you see, some state actors building a shell company, they're taking the user, and they are able to get in. When you have critical information in this day and age with everything that's going on in the world, people will make a lot of effort in order to get to it. So yes, human is a big factor, and your ability to understand how humans are using data and identities in general, is very, very, very important. So yes, it's in the big breaches, you always have human element, and the insider threat, you need to be ahead of it.
Okay. So with that in mind, I think, we're getting to the end of this conversation. I just want to give some advice type questions for the viewers. If you are, let's say a CISO of a startup, you've hit product market fit, you've got some Series A funding, they're like, right, you need to secure. So it's a kind of greenfield, where should they start? Where would you build? And you said everyone's got modern stacks. Where should that stack start, if in your opinion?
So you want me to give an advice to a different to a young startup CEO?
Exactly, yeah.
I think that it's very important to know your domain very, very well.
Yeah.
To understand your customers very well, and to be maniacally focused on the customer and customer value, and understand very well the ecosystem, and just to move fast and innovate, and to be very realistic regarding what you have in your hands.
Yeah.
And I think once you have a product market fit, the most important thing is people. Hire the best people, but also people that are great fit together. I think for me, with all my management team, but the beginning with Ohad, 1 + 1 = 5. And then obviously with David, 1 + 1 = 5. You need to find the match between the right people that have force multiplier, that A players that can really work together, that the vector of interest of everybody is always the customer and innovation. And if you are lucky enough to have the product market fit, because there is an element of luck in startups, if the stars align, just execute and move fast and bring the right people and preserve the culture of innovation, culture of execution. And if you want to build something big and it will take a long time, also identify people that have the stamina, and that it's in them to builders, it's in them to create, it's in them to work. They can do it for a long time. And if you can do that, it's great.
Okay. So I think the perfect question to wrap things up with would be, we've heard you speak very, very articulately and passionately about what you've built with Varonis, the level of detail you're getting into with the platform, what's happening in the market, the threats. Let's say you've done 20 years and you want to do another 20 years. What's your vision for the next 20 years of Varonis?
I told you, the vision it's always the same, in a sense of making sure automatically, it's all about outcomes. That if you partner with us, you don't have a data breach, you don't have compliance fines, everything will be as automatic as possible, completely effortless, and you can demonstrate what you are doing on the framework that we build. Is find, fix, alert. We find automatically critical data. We fix the blast radius, making sure only the right people can access the right data.
Yeah.
And we see any abnormal behavior, we alert on it and stop it automatically for you.
Yeah.
My promise to you is that this is what we are doing in every waking moment, is to make sure that your information is secure, whatever happens. And my commitment to innovation is that anything that related to data is Varonis. Like in terms of data security and everything in the ecosystem, I promise our customers that we'll make everything to make sure that we will provide all the solution for you.
Yeah.
Any new platform that is coming, any new threat, anything within AI, we are just innovating in the speed of SaaS, in the high end of the SaaS, and we are doing it in the right way. When you are partnering with Varonis and with the Varonis platform and architecture, it's future-proof. It will be able to hold all the information that is coming. And this is something that I think that organizations sometimes are missing, that the platform to build all this automation need to classify every data record, need to take every touch of every data record, all the metadata, permissions, all the configuration, crunch it together in the right price point, because there is a price point that you can pay, and then to build all the robots with all the automation, this is what we'll do. You have a data security problem, we will solve it end-to-end.
I mean, that's a great sales pitch, to be honest with you. I think your sellers should write that down and use that. Look, Yaki, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the time.
As I said at the start, you are a CEO of a NASDAQ-listed business. Your time is very, very valuable, and we're very grateful you decided to spend it with Sapio.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.